everybody, how are you doing? It's me, Joe Salyers, back here at the Music Factory Studios. We're going to check out the Brian May collection for Amplitube on the iPad. All right, let's check it out. Amplitube is my guitar amp of choice when I go out and play. And the reason is recallability, and I'm getting old. Okay. Yeah, it was cool when I had to wheel in a Mesa triple rectifier and a 412 cabinet, and I had 50,000 pedals, and I just looked like the ultimate guitar player. Now I just look like somebody's dad who doesn't want to give up on playing music. So it's a lot easier just to embrace technology, and I personally, it makes my life a lot easier. That's the #1 priority. It always has been. Just digital wasn't really something that was feasible. I had some of the early digital processors as far as you could just take this one thing and go play. I had one called an ART ECC, which was an effects command center. It had guitar amp emulations in it, and it did okay. And the Digitech had one, and there were some really early Zoom ones that came out in the late 80s that were really expensive, but had came down in price, and they were all terrible. But at the time we thought, hey, pretty good. They were great as stomp box emulations, but as far as trying to emulate an amplifier, they were terrible. But once I came across probably the second iteration of Amplitube, I was like, oh, this is good. Now if I could just get it in a way that I could control it. Well, along comes Apple's iPad, and I bought the iRig Blue Board as my controller. You can plug, it has 4 MIDI control pedals on it. You can plug in 2 more, like an expression pedal, or shoot. When I first got it, all I had was an expression pedal, and I needed 1 more pedal, so I grabbed a sustain pedal from my keyboard and plugged into it and mapped that. And it's real easy. It's just a touch of a button, and you go to these external settings and set it up. I mean, you just literally, it's so easy. Say I want to make the OCD my first button on my iRig Blue Board. I literally just hold down on it, and it says assign control, and then I touch it on the iRig Blue Board, and now it's on my first button. It's that simple. But okay, now let's move on to the Brian May part of this segment. There are 2 amplifiers, the BM30, and the other one is called the BMDK. It's a battery-powered amplifier. It's a neat little thing, and it definitely sounds like Queen records, okay? Now, granted, I'm not going to be using everything in this collection. I'm going to show you how I personally am going to use it this weekend. So there's a local festival, and we're playing on Saturday night, and I'm going to be using this setup. Why, you say? Normally I use the Mesa dual rectifier. It's easier for what we're doing. But here's the thing. I use a delay and I use a chorus on every set. And it's always a pain trying to do the unskinny bop there of turn off one and turn on another. But with this amp, what you've got here, down here at the bottom, you have a chorus and a delay built into the amp because of the way the cabs are set up. You have a 3-cab setup, as you can see here. There are 2 versions of the 3-cab setup. There's this one, the BM1, and then there's the BM2. Okay, I like the BM1. I just do. But in the amp, you have chorus and delay built right in, which is really nice. And it's controllable from the MIDI foot switch. What's really interesting is you have a level, but you also have the ability to control how much is coming out of those side impulse responses. So you have 3 impulse responses, the mid and the 2 sides, and you have the ability to control how much of that is heard. That's none. That's 0. Here's half. You're not really hearing much, right? Now let's turn the level up. We'll turn it way up here. So you can hear what it does. You can also do this with the delay. And I just set it up kind of the same way. You can have it really saturated or not so much. This would be great if you were in a Queen tribute band as well. You have the ability to really use some of the presets for the songs. They do sound like the songs, the guitar parts on the songs. And it's really interesting how close that IK was able to get with this limited setup on the iPad. Because the iPad only gives you 4 pedals in front of the amp and 2 afterwards. And that's it. But it's just enough to go play live with. That's kind of its thing. It's not meant to be the all-in-one recording guitar amp setup where you can, chain 50, overdrives together or whatever. This is just meant to be the very bare bones of what you need to go play live, and it works perfectly. Now, what's included is a pretty interesting set of pedals. You have the treble booster, which I have here. There is a Mei-Wah. There is a Fox phaser, which is a pretty cool sounding phaser. There is a 30-band EQ. There's this Red Special, which is really interesting. It can take your guitar and kind of do to it what Brian May's pickup setup does on his guitar. It's okay. It's not something I really have any need for, but it came along in the bundle and I played around with it. It's pretty cool, but I don't see any use for it live for me. You may be able to do something with it. And there's also this Stargate, which is probably the best gate on Amplitube so far that I've used. It's pretty transparent. But the treble booster works really well. I like it a lot. So let's check it out here. So as you can hear, that's a pretty interesting little pedal. You have 3 different options, 70s, 80s, and 90s. There's not much of a difference. Some have a little more low end. I think the 70s has a little more low end, it's a little darker. They're all real bright because it's a treble booster, but... So there, I kind of switched through them a little bit so you could hear what they do. The treble booster does come in pretty handy if you're on like the neck pickup and you're using something like this OCD. So it can give you a little lift when you need it. Also, I really am digging the chorus here. It sounds really good. I mean, it just does. cranked with the rate all the way up, most choruses in emulation get real wobbly and kind of out of whack. This one just sounds like a really nice Leslie. But I love a real good chorus, man. You know, it's what you get for being old and remember when chorus was still cool. Okay, now let's check out the other amp here real quick, the BMDK. The BMDK is this little battery-powered amp. That's the first time I've even really messed around with it. That's the cab for it, too. So you can lower the battery power. How much battery power is in the 9-volt? Let's go super low here. Okay, if this is emulating something that Brian had in the 70s, this is how he got that ungodly sounding distortion that no one else had at the time. So if you listen to those Queen records, he had some distortion that was just insane for the time. It's like, oh my God, how is he getting that? You know? And while everyone else was, I mean, there wasn't really any distortion pedals, and amps really didn't distort, so he took a small amplifier. And that's probably what he did. Probably put a compressor into it and probably this treble booster to get that kind of... Guarantee that's what he did. That's cool, though. That's very cool. I dig it. I dig this whole setup. But I will be using it this weekend, so let's play around with it here for a few minutes, and then I'll let you guys go. Thanks for hanging out and checking out Music Factory Studios. Have a great day, y'all. We'll see you next time.